Hi, young lady.
Hey there. There we go. There we go.
I have missed you. How have you been?
I've been good. I have missed being here, but last week I was in St. Louis working, and today I'm just trying to get in here. And I had a great, this is my third meeting now with the Catholic Diocese. I met with the operations guy, and then in 2 weeks, I'm going to meet with HR. We're getting ready. They had shared last month their strategic plans with me. And just having a marketing background, they asked me to make some contributions. And I said, I would like to. However, this is how it works. And these are some of the things that I see that I'd like to expand on. And I thought either they're going to take the bait or they're not, and they did. So,
Good.
and now we're back to training because I don't really, I like wearing my marketing hat, but I really would prefer to wear my training hat. So,
Because we've got the power team here right now. We got Robin Kriesman, we got Dennis Madden, we got Lisa Marie David, and the famous and wise and benevolent Oz. Pay
Jimmy
no
Cathcart.
attention to the man behind the Western shirt. Yeah. How are you doing, Robin?
I'm doing pretty good. My wife is in California for 2 weeks with my mother-in-law. They left yesterday and had a chaotic day of travel, multiple delays, got there late at night, but 2 weeks of bachelor boy.
Hey, I'll be over. Let's see.
Come on, come
Okay.
on. No, it's been a while since we've been gone separated for that long.
Sunday
Looking
seems
back,
like a
I've been
good
to
day.
Africa a couple of times and several times I've been gone for a month or so, but it's been a while. So
Yeah. By the way, Paula and I are coming to San Antonio for Dennis's business. The Automatic Transmission Rebuilders Association moved from Oxnard, where Dennis headed it up, to China Grove, which is just outside of San Antonio on the east. And they're having their grand opening on June 28th in the evening. And Paula and I are coming down and staying that night at the Contessa on Riverwalk.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will be in the
Nice.
hood.
and you'll be with me on June 26th, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
25,
Okay.
So,
26, and 27, we're going to be in Memphis.
Yeah.
so you'll drive down for the day. And it's at 6 o'clock, I guess.
Yeah, 6. And so we're driving down that afternoon. We get in from Memphis the day before and on Thursday. And then Friday, we'll drive down to San Antonio, check into the hotel, and then come to the event. And then have a leisurely morning the next day in San Antonio, and then probably come on home. Or go to
Okay, so
Sporting
so
Ranch.
Dennis and Robin, for those that don't know, that when I became Ziegler certified, the Zieglers encouraged us to go back to our community and share our certification and what we had done. And for many years, I had been working to establish a high school program for high school students for gratitude and good citizenship and leadership skills, and to learn about St. Jude. And just fast forward from 2017 to 2019, we worked on writing the program. And I was blessed to be working with a lady out of Chicago, Amy Jung, who really gave me an opportunity to put the curriculum together. And I wanted it to be based on Jim Cathcart's book, The Acorn Principle, and with my intention of giving each student an acorn to symbolize the gifts and the seeds that they find within themselves, and to grow those and to nurture those and to understand you can't plant the tree before you get the fruit. So fast forward in 2020, Jim did 10 or 15 minutes on a Zoom because it was during COVID. And so this year, when we were planning our event, they said, well, Lisa, do you have any ideas on speakers or anything? And I love Jim, but I had also fallen in love with Nito Cuban, and I met him at
Nito
NSA.
who? Nito Cuban?
Bang.
He related to Nito de Puerto Rico?
No.
Nito
And
Cuban?
Cubain. And and anyway, I'm sorry. He was out of the country. So I said, okay, since he's out of the country, because his story really relates very closely to Danny Thomas's story in coming to this country. He's half Lebanese. He was born in Bethlehem. So anyway, fast forward, I caught Jim on vacation, and in a weak moment, he said, yes, I will come to Memphis to fill in for Nito. But anyway, he's not really filling in. So the students are really excited to meet the Acorn guy. So anyway, that is their experience. When they reach their fundraising goal, they get this big celebration at the end of June, because our program is 6 months. And
I really hated not being able to do it for you. When you asked me, I'm sorry I had that date already booked. So I apologize.
I
I'm
know,
glad
but
Jen
Robin,
could
there's
step in.
always next year. There's always next year. So anyway, so I'll tell y'all, this is kind of an interesting, because of COVID, they stopped all tours. And I not only invited Jim, but invited Paula. And I said, I will be their handlers, because they assign handlers to any VIPs. And I'm like, and I will give the tours. And they're like, oh, no, you won't, because you're not recertified. So I've had to, in the midst of
my
everything,
gosh.
take classroom, all this stuff to get recertified. But anyway, it's all good. And so Dennis, before Jim and Paula come to see you, they'll be here in Memphis sharing with my students.
Nice.
Can you see my
And
name?
Jen and I went to Memphis earlier this year, I think it
B.
was.
Acorn. Yes.
The Acorn. Yes.
Yeah.
So Dennis, you would not come to Memphis and not even give me a buzz.
You know, shame on me now that you bring it up, huh?
The shame.
Yep.
Tough
Yeah,
crowd today. Tough crowd.
I know, Robin.
Well, I want to get feedback since the echoes of the summit have taken place. I want to get more feedback. What has occurred to you, Dennis, since you were there? Is something that kind of stood out in your consciousness about that whole experience that you hadn't thought of, last time we were chatting about this? Hi, Jay. Good to see you.
Jay. Hey, Jay.
Well, I think for me it was clarification of managing of attention management.
There you go.
That really sums it up, because I find myself with so many projects, so much stuff, some of it not so important, but it all presses on you. Something that's really important and something that's worthless, it's still there in your head.
Yeah.
And then I have these these projects around the house, and what is so easy to push off are the important things, like
Yeah.
this book I'm working on. It's just so easy that at the end of the day, I've got nothing done. Now, before I went to the summit, I had allowed 3 weeks to go by without writing a single word. And because I track it every day, and that's the way I am able to generally, like that first book that I wrote. I mean, what Lisa Marie was talking about, it took me 7 years because of all the research, and it's 350 pages. It's a big book, and the only way I could manage to stay on track was to track how many words every day and shame myself if I didn't get yes, thank you,
Yeah,
to a certain level.
that's a lot.
And so now I work on it first, and the other stuff either doesn't get done.
Yep.
And that's the 3 Ds that you talked about, right? And I
Drop,
can't
delay,
delegate this.
delegate, and do. Yep.
Yeah.
Start with the pile. Drop, then delay, then delegate, then do. And then you do based on the priority to you, not the urgency to others necessarily. By the way, Earl Nightingale years ago did a recording where he talked about the things we do are either done as goal achieving or tension relieving. And boy, doesn't that characterize a day-to-day dilemma. You say, well, I'm just going to have a beer and sit here on the porch and just chill, because I'll be so much better when I get back to my next activity. Or I'll tell you what, let's run down the street and see Robin and Elizabeth and see what's going on with them, and then we'll get on this thing. Or I'll put that off. Didn't you say the bedroom needs to be dusted? Whatever. Goal achieving or tension relieving. And we take the little things that aren't even near being a goal. They're just a to-do. And we get our sense of forward motion and satisfaction, our sense of closure from those activities, like reorganizing a file or throwing out the little tabs that were left over from an edit, something trivial. And we get a sense of satisfaction. I had that dilemma with NSA when I was president, because I had a full-time staff. I had two huge jobs, being Jim the speaker and author and all that, and being Jim the president of NSA. And both of them, if I did them, were very satisfying. But the only one that paid the bills was my speaker work, right? So I told my staff, I said, first we eat, then we NSA, right? So the things we do that are goal achieving for the business, that's what we do first. And then if we have time left, which we will, we get around to the volunteer leadership duties that I've taken on that are not your problem as a staff. They're my problem as the volunteer, right?
Yeah.
And that helped keep things a little bit in context, I think, back then.
Well, and so you're reversing the order. Do comes first, right? See, the order that you had was drop, delay,
Yeah.
delegate, then do. And see, I had to reverse that. Do first. I don't have anyone to delegate it to.
But don't do the
and
things
then
you should
when you're
drop.
done with the day, guess what? You've got all this stuff you can drop.
Yeah. But be sure that the things you do that day aren't the items that should have been dropped or delayed or delegated.
Right.
And the key thing for keeping in mind for delegation is that it may be that you're the only one that can do what needs to be done right now at the quality it needs to be done. However, you can make things progressively more delegatable. For example, you're the only one that knows your travel needs and your scheduling needs and so forth, but you can get a remote assistant and in a week or so have them trained how to think like you do about scheduling and travel and details like that. So we create space by making things delegatable. And also by not always saying yes when something comes to us. Instead, we could say, just a second, and think about it and think, is this the highest and best use of my time? Should I be the one solving this? Or should I show this person how to do it so they can do it themselves hereafter? Or should we have a discussion about how important this is relative to other things so that they can also choose what deserves to be in the pile and what deserves to be pushed aside? So making your life one where more things are delegatable each succeeding month and year, that's a very good thing. And it allows you to get back to what you led with, Dennis, which is Maura, M-A-U-R-A, Thomas's, her catchphrase or slogan for her business. She's a time management teacher, but she doesn't say it that way. She says, I teach attention management, because that's what you're really managing is what you pay attention to.
Well, I'll share one last thing along those
Okay.
lines. I love to go to the grocery store. And
Okay,
so I might come home and I'll forget something and go, oh, no, I'll just go over to the grocery store and I'll go look at the vegetables. And, I may go to, there have been days where I've been to the grocery store 4 times. And,
Which one of
and-
those grocery stores said liquor?
No. So, I said no to going to the grocery store today.
good for you. I admire your strength as a leader. By the way, Charlie Plum, Captain Charlie Plum, a very famous man, a professional speaker who I've known for 30 plus years, a dear friend. He was a Vietnam POW for 7 years, 6 years and X months. And when he came back, the president, I think it was Nixon at the time, decorated him, and he's been entertained in the White House by every president since then. So he's kind of a big deal. And Charlie, like you, Dennis, loves to go to the store, but not the grocery store, hardware store. He's a former jet jockey and an engineer, that thinks that way. And so you put him in a hardware store, he's a happy camper for all eternity. So I
I do
understand.
that with
Take me to a
Lowe's, too.
motorcycle or a music store, same thing.
I do that with Lowe's too. So yesterday, because I've been to Lowe's probably 3 times every day this week. And yesterday, Jen says, "Do you have a girlfriend down there?"
No, Dennis Madden gets his highs at Lowe's.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom shot. Thank you for that. Hey, Jay, take yourself off mute and bring us up to date. What's new in your world?
Oh, I was going to say after that last joke, you need a mic so you can drop it.
There you
There
go.
you go.
If it hurts the mic,
You what?
it hurts the mic.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
What were you saying? Drop, delay,
Delegate and do in that order.
So the drop means like if there's a task, you just drop it. You don't do it
Ever.
ever.
So you look at your stack. Let's say it's a mound of work in front of you. You say, what in this stack, if I never did it, it wouldn't matter.
Hmm.
So you shorten the stack. What in this stack, if I did it later, would be just as fine as doing it now? Okay.
Ah,
And then you delay specific, never delay indefinite. Delay specific, because that's procrastination. Delay specific to a time and day. Right.
hmm.
And
Yeah.
then that shortens the stack further. And then okay, what can I delegate? Well, if the answer is nothing, who should I be able to delegate to? Or what software or app or something could I delegate this to over time? And then finally you get down to do. So what's been on your plate lately?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
I feel like Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver. You talking to me? You talking to me?
You're talking to me? Huh? Huh?
Oh, that's good. You got the face too, which is good.
Yeah. The Rock.
A whole new talent set we're getting here is
I can do a little Elvis too, but it takes some practice.
You're the Rich Little of motivational speakers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I competed again in the division contest.
Oh, that's right.
There was 8 of us, and I took second, but I wasn't clapping because I felt I won the whole thing.
Mhm.
And when I got up there, the district director of our district leaned over to me and said, you have no idea how disappointed I am that you did not win this. Both Ramona and I had you picked as the easy winner. And Ramona is I think the 2020 world champion, Ramona Smith, or 2019. She
Mhm.
did a speech called Still Standing.
Yeah.
And she actually came over and congratulated me before the results were announced. And everybody was congratulating me. Great job, Jay. You got this. You won.
Good for
And I
you.
took second. And I don't mind losing, but I felt
You
like
didn't, by the way. You didn't. You won second.
Yeah.
You won second
guy-
place. Yeah. I mean, check the racetracks. Win, place, show. There are 3 winners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I had taken first, I would have moved on to the regionals and then maybe
Yeah.
to the semifinals and to the finals. But the guy who won was this young guy, and I was watching him speak, and he was crying on stage, telling a story. He was melodramatic. He was,
Wow.
it was just such a poorly delivered speech. I just have to figure out what the judges saw in that speech that they didn't see in mine. So
Well, one thing to look at is the quality, meaning awareness level or degree of sophistication of the judges themselves.
Hmm.
Because if you've got the wrong mix of judges, you're not going to be able to produce a clear winner based on the real criteria. It's going to be based on the perceptions and biases of the judges. like if all the judges had a racial filter,
Hmm.
you could lose on race or you could win on race. If it was a gender filter or an age filter or, whatever. There's so many factors that come into that. It's like that up on the shelf, I've got a little speaker award, third place in the Junior Chamber of Commerce, JC's 4 states leadership speaking contest in 1974. I came in third. I thought I nailed it, but they didn't.
Hmm. All right.
Robin?
Back in the day when I had my band Backstreet, we had won the top pop rock band in North Texas and one of the top 10 bands in Texas by Billboard magazine. And we got invited to go on Star Search the very first year. Ed McMahon was hosting that.
There's a piece of
And-
history. Hi, Kevin. Go ahead.
Hi there.
Hey, Kevin. And Sawyer Brown had been winning at that point in time, and we were invited on, and we won backstage behind the scenes of our 3 competitions.
Easy for
And we
you
were
to
going to be the next band on, and the band that was going to win that particular episode would go on to be in the finals for the $100,000 grand prize. Well, our manager was a famous manager that was a radio promoter and knew a lot of people in the industry. And when we got there, we were all excited. We'd been there for 10 days and got to know everybody. And Sawyer Brown had come out to see our band in Dallas one time before. They knew who we were. And so everyone was, based on what we had already done with our 3 winnings that we had back there, was saying, you guys got it. You're going to be the one. You've got it. Well, we went up there. We ended up choosing our second best song versus our first best song because we thought we were going to beat Sawyer Brown with our second best and have our best one for the next one. And turns out we lost by 1/4 point.
Ah.
Now, here's the deal, Jay. 4 judges, and they're all celebrity judges. Turned out that one of them was named Mike Curb. Mike Curb was the A&R director for Curb Records, a big country label at the time.
Mike Curb Foundation, organization or foundation or whatever it was.
Yeah, and
Mike Curb Association. Yeah.
yes. And Mike had just signed Sawyer Brown to their label.
Oh, wow.
Another connection there, Ernie Phillips, our manager, Mike was a protege of Ernie. Mike did not know that Ernie was managing us. Second one, I had been working with Chris Christian, a record producer, a Christian record label that signed Amy Grant and knew a lot of the artists there. He was in a band called Cotton, Lloyd, and Christian. Chris and Mike were in a band together. Mike did not know the connection I had with Chris. So all of those connections and the fact that they had just signed Sawyer Brown was the key that lost us the point because the audience picked us over the judges, but the judges ended up having the full vote. Lost $100,000 from that.
Ah,
Yeah.
yikes.
Now, I ended up going on to meet my wife, and we still had a career after that, but we got to do the Star Search tour. But you never know. You never know. So take that second place and say, we won. We won.
There you go.
All right. You got a deal. You got a deal.
And be at
Great
our
story, by the way.
next
Great
summit.
story.
You would have loved being at the summit and we would have loved having you there because it was such a perfect atmosphere for this crew right here that I'm looking at. You know, Kevin was there and Dennis were there and they both felt like family to us, the rest of us. And I hope that felt the same way to you two. Yep. Hey, Kevin,
Yes, sir.
since you've had a little time to reflect on La Jolla and that whole experience, what stands out now when you look back on it?
Oh, I think the like-mindedness of the group there, the genuineness and the willingness of everybody in that group to help everybody else be successful. I didn't feel at any time anybody was saying, look at me and look where I'm at. It's almost like everybody kind of put themselves beneath everybody else there. I even thought Brian Tracy, at the level he was at and the way he's been, man, you wouldn't have known he was Brian Tracy the way he just sit around with us and had meals and just,
Isn't that
it was
amazing?
just, yeah, it was just, I mean, it just felt so good. I mean, it was like, it was a very good atmosphere and the group of people that was just really the genuineness and the willingness. I mean, everybody, when everybody's going around to tell them what they could do, how could the group help them? Most everybody was saying, well, but how can I help you?
Yeah.
But, you know,
Isn't that
yeah, but how
something?
can I help you? Yeah,
Yeah.
it was amazing. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's something that really pleased me about Brian was that
Mhm.
Brian's got a reputation of taking up all the air in the room, but adding value by doing so. And so
Mhm.
whenever he would come to a meeting, this was like Speakers Roundtable and other groups in the past where we were both involved.
Mhm.
Once you say, "What do you think, Brian?" You might as well get comfortable. You know, it's going to be a while before he's done, and every bit of it's worth keeping.
Mhm.
You know, so it's not like he's just rambling. But my gosh, you know, I mean, he's just an information machine. And here he was. I mean, first he's
Mhm.
walking with difficulty using that upwalker
Mhm.
machine that he uses, and he's sitting there and just behaving as if he were, you know, like part of the
Mhm.
staff. Amazing. That's quite a testament.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great meeting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, um,
Just-
say again?
and just the way that everybody just poured in.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a lot of chance to reflect. And of course, I've asked for feedback. I sent out a message to all of you asking, you know, here's a list of all the things we did, thinking back over it. How could we do it better? What really worked? We want to be sure and do that again. And Joe Willard called me today and he said, one of my mentors, Don Clifton, who was also a mentor to me because of Joe, the founder of what is now Gallup organization, StrengthsFinder, Don Clifton of Selection Research. He said, Don always told me, he said, Joe, here are 3 questions you ought to ask every time you've completed something. What happened that we ought to be doing more of? What happened we should do no more? And what happened that was good? And I think that's a clean little filter to use in looking back at an experience.
Mhm.
Well, we're not going to use that concourse for the next flight because everything reaches a bottleneck and takes too long to get through security. You know, what should we never do again? What should we do more of? That was the best Uber driver we've ever had. We got to get his personal number, right? Those kind of things. But just a good filter for looking back on it. And by the way, Todd Duncan is CPE, Certified Professional Expert number 22. And Todd is, as Brian Tracy is to, say, multi-level marketing, Todd Duncan is to mortgage salespeople. People in the mortgage business, every one of them knows Todd Duncan. I've known Todd Duncan 30 plus years, and we used to both have offices in La Jolla, and I had the opportunity to be a mentor to him briefly years and years ago. Well, he called me recently and he said, I've put together a new company and it's very well funded. And we're creating a world-class killer faculty for this. And it's called Fuel, F-U-E-L. And he said, I want you to be on the faculty. He said, this is not one where you pay to get in it. We're paying you. He said, but I want a world-class faculty, and Fuel is like a lot of websites have come together where someone said, hey, I know a lot of people that are high-level people and we'll make a faculty out of them and do videos and create an online video vault. Well, Todd said, yeah, but what's missing? What's missing is actual engagement and accountability. So he took a learning management system and a performance tracking system and built his platform with that. So that a person comes in and they set up a profile and then they establish targets that they're going after. And then they're assigned a learning curriculum. And as they go through it, that is tracked and reported on a chart to the, say, Robin's the sales manager for this company, to Robin every week or every day if he wants to log in. And so he knows whether Dennis completed his classes, whether Lisa's goals have been turned in yet for review, whether Jim has solved that problem that he left on the last deal, that kind of thing. So it's all built into Fuel. So anyway, Todd called me about that, and we talked about the summit, and he wanted to be there, but had some family issues that he had to address. We were on a call with his main tech guy, who has already built a multi-million follower online presence in another category. And we were brainstorming about Fuel and how to make it the best it can be. And Todd said, wait a minute. He said, we're going to have, as soon as we're done with this phase, 150 faculty members. I want them all to become CPEs.
Wow.
Boom. Quantum leap.
Yeah.
Quantum leap. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're defining, what they need to go through in order to prove that they are qualified for CPE. And then we'll start certifying them. And man, that'll give us a body from which we can grow a lot more.
Yeah.
And so that expanded my thinking. And my thinking is to take CPE really seriously and to make it something that becomes sort of the, oh, you haven't done that problem, for anybody in the professions, in the world of professional services. And so that means tightening the certification process to make it a little bit more rigid for folks to step up in order to be qualified or certified, and to make it more universal in how people can get to it. Because right now they've got two ways. You either apply directly just by doing a deposit and filling out the application, or you go through the Going Pro Experts Academy training and you get it at the end. But we're going to expand that. And I'm just thinking, I need to create, I have to recreate my website, Cathcart.com, because I got hacked by a Russian hacker that put 26 pages of Russian porn links on my blog. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow.
Took me days to watch them all.
I was going to
Oh,
say,
yeah.
man, wow. Are you done
Actually,
yet? I didn't even know.
Thank God I didn't click through to see any of them, but it took me hours to delete 26 pages of content and to go back and delete the pages that allowed the intrusion, right? So in the process, I destroyed the front page of my website. And today I had an hour-long meeting with a tech support person in Finland, of all places, to recreate Cathcart.com and make it a better platform. So here's the thinking. A portion of that in stage 2 will be a CPE, Certified Professional Expert section of Cathcart.com, where every one of the recipients will be listed. And we will have thank you, Eric, and we will have a profile of each person with a photograph and a bio and links. And we've got Eric Swanson on here, CPE, and we've got John Kovach, who was the executive officer of the whole summit. Thank you, John. Glad you're here. Yes, high five yourselves. And so CPE, once we get the website up and running, then that'll be a place where people can come. They can watch videos about what it is, how do they get qualified, click here to apply, click here to see the list of all the recipients, and then run through and see the bios, and those bios will link to the person. So a whole lot's taking place on this end that you might not otherwise be conscious of. Eric Swanson, my man, Mr. Awesome, give the group a sort of a highlights reel of comments, your experience of being at the summit with them.
Oh man, that's a great question. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Sounds
You know,
good. I wish I had that deep voice.
I know it's the deepest voice I've ever experienced today. I'm actually in a hotel in Temecula today, waiting to meet up with our buddy Joe Vitale from The Secret.
Good.
So
Be sure
yeah.
and go up to the lookout and have a sandwich and look out over the valley. Yep.
I will. I'm gonna push him over
Lake
the edge.
Elsinore.
Be like, I'm gonna push Joe over the edge, the lookout, and be like, I'll save him. I'll be like, you owe me now, dude. That's the secret. I'm just kidding. By the way, I love what you just said, Jim, in regard to building, a section of the website with the professionals in CPE. It's such an honor. I mean, it really is. And here's the joke. I joke around a lot, so here's the little joke. Wouldn't it be cool to add a couple more and then we just kick them out because they're not professional? We'll just add a little. That'd be cool. So I'm just kidding. We'll nominate the people who will never make it. Just kidding. So the recap, not really a recap, but my experience. I come from a background of working with one of the most professional people in the world, really. His name is Brian Tracy. I started with him about 26 years ago and learned some amazing things. So Jim goes ahead and takes all of what I've learned and through Brian, and he literally, the experience was amazing. And it's just, it was an experience. If you didn't make it there, you definitely want to make it next year, I guess, is what I'd say. The experience was fantastic because there was a curriculum that obviously Jim goes through, and it's strategic, right? It really is. But he allows it to be, what's the word I'm looking for?
Organic.
Natural and flowing, right? And allowing he knows, he's very smart, right? Jim's super smart, where he knows he's putting together a curriculum, yet we put together the curriculum alongside of the curriculum as well. So it creates this baby or this nucleus of amazing attributes from all of us. And that was really the takeaway that I got. I don't know if you asked me about the takeaway, but the takeaway that I got, Jim, was really like the fact that all of us are bringing so much to the table, so much. Like I'm an expert. I have expertise, not I'm an expert, but I have a lot of knowledge in certain areas. And I could put this in the big circle, and then Dennis brings this, and Kevin brings that, and Jay brings that. It's amazing. So back to you.
Here's the thing that makes your input valuable, Eric, in this context. You've worked with Dennis Waitley. You've worked with Brian Tracy, obviously. You've worked with Sharon Lecter, who wrote the women's edition of Think and Grow Rich. You've worked with gurus and leaders and best-selling authors and people of pretty profound stature now for the last 20 years plus. And so you've been to masterminds, you've been to summits, you've been to rallies, you've led them, your own Habitude Warrior mastermind and all the things that go with that. You see this from the 20,000 foot level, not from the recently got an adult ticket to the grandstand level, and that's why I wanted your observations, because you will notice things that made this distinctive from those others that other people might not realize are kind of unique to this experience. So compared to, let's say you're in a room filled with those kind of people, the people that I just named, and they say, okay, so Eric, you went to Jim's thing. What was different about his? I mean, I know Jim's different, but what was different about his? What would you say?
Yeah, great question. So I guess the easiest way I can answer this is the word fluff comes into play, and Jim, your thing was no fluff. And that's when you get into a meeting, a group with like the names you just said, Sharon, these are dear friends of mine, Sharon Lecter, Dennis Waitley, Brian Tracy, Jim Cathcart. When you get into a room with these people, there's the cordial, oh my God, great to see you, let's catch up. But then it's like, okay, let's grab our notebooks and let's compare notes to help each other move to the next level. And there's no real, do I like those, dancing on the chairs, Tony Robbins style? Yeah, I like that, because you can really tell my
Like going to a concert versus listening to an album. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's like okay, let me say it this way. Good call on the concert. It's like if Frank Sinatra was hanging out and Dean Martin, well, Dean's another beast, never mind. We'd have to all drink. But if Frank Sinatra's hanging out and you've got, Huey Lewis over there, and you've got David Bowie over here, and you've got and Elton John. I mean, we're not gonna be all fluff. We're gonna, it's gonna be a professional meeting of the minds. And that's what really it is. That's what you should call it, the meeting of the minds, right? That's
very,
what I.
years ago, Steve Allen was a TV personality. He had a man on the street, kind of a talk show, a little bit like the Tonight Show. He was the first host of the Tonight Show, I think. And then I don't want to get off on that. Anyway, Steve Allen had a show called Meeting of the Minds, and it would be him meeting with Benjamin Franklin, Abraham Lincoln, Marie Curie, Mahatma Gandhi, sitting in a room talking about a subject on camera. It was amazing, and it was absolutely brilliant, but not for lightweight thinking,
Right.
Yeah. So thank you for that, Eric. John Gomez Jr. Yeah, thank you 1,000 times for being such a great right arm for our event. You brought joy, enthusiasm, intelligence, problem anticipation, and encouragement without ever causing anybody to feel they were being urged or guided or something. So thank you.
And professionalism. Would you agree, Jim?
Yes.
Jim?
Yeah.
That's the key about John, I believe. Sorry to interrupt real quick, but I love John because he brings all of that, what you just said, but in a professional way.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that we know that wouldn't be in a professional way. And hats off to John for doing that. Sorry to interrupt.
So John, comments, feedback, observations, anything you got?
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. And I've got to say, not only was it extremely professional, but a lot of fun. Like, we learned at what I call accelerated rates because of the atmosphere, the environment, and just the quality. I mean, people there respected one another. And I feel that those types of environments are the ones that are curated for professional success. And I got to be not only a right hand to you and serve the room and just kind of, if you will, sort of be that MC behind the curtain and just make sure things were running smoothly, but also to literally sponge up and soak in all of the incredible conversations and education. And if in many ways, like, that room was the elevated room of success, like that's the expectation. And I love the way Eric said it, because you've got to bring in personalities and experienced professionals from all over the world to be able to pour into each other and provide that level of expertise and knowledge. And it literally grew its own wings and its own legs and started taking off. And that was it was my observation, and it was an absolute honor to be amongst such distinguished individuals in such
Well, you fit right in. You did. And that was one of the things, folks. Allison Doss was there, Boss Doss, with her tattoos across her fingers. I love that. And her book is called The Unbossing. And that's a very compelling message. So Allison's sitting there, and the first night when the people kind of got to know each other, she said, I don't think I fit in. I don't think I belong here. And then one after another, people were sharing the struggles they went through to get to where they were. And Joe Willard talked about his own really difficult life passages to get to the positions he's in. And I went over to her and I said, how do you feel now? She said, I fit in. So that was really good. Look at this. From Croatia, we have Lynn Guo. Just joined us. Seriously, she took off from our event, did some other travel, and recently, look at her. She's in Croatia on the other side of the world from us and looking great. How's Croatia, my dear?
Very beautiful.
Outstanding. So you're outdoor.
So pretty.
What time
I'm outdoor. Here, about 9:40.
Oh, not too bad.
Look, so pretty here.
Golly, wow. How can we be to you in the best way? Think
Sorry,
about
I couldn't join. I don't know why. Thank you, John. Send me the link just now. So sorry.
No worries. But think about how we can be helpful to you and let us know during the meeting.
Okay.
Lynn, where did you go after you left the summit in La Jolla?
Miami, and I was transferred to London yesterday. I was in Miami for a few days.
Okay, so you were with friends or colleagues in Miami, and then you went to London and then to Croatia.
Yes.
And Michael Butler, some of the others already know this. Michael Butler left La Jolla and went to Singapore, where you live, and he spent a few days in Singapore, and now this day is running a 56-mile ultra marathon in Jerusalem. Wow, what a group we've got. What an amazing group. I mean, look at the entities that are represented. Look at the industries that are represented. Look at the global experiences and reach of influence that's represented. And, they talk about the 1 degree of separation. How many degrees of separation are we, this group, from some of the most influential people in the world today? How many degrees? 1. Not 6, like, the movie. 1. Someone not only knows the people that are the shakers and movers, but is the person who's a shaker or mover. I get such a kick out of watching TV news and saying to Paula, look, we know her. We've met him. I know him. I served on a committee with her. This just astounds me because I'm a kid from Little Rock, Arkansas, whose dad was a telephone repairman. And I expected to grow up being a middle manager at the phone company and then die at age whatever my gene pool was. Look at you. Robin, comments. I'd see it, fireworks going off inside your head, but I don't hear the sound. Tell us what's going on. What thoughts and reactions?
Well, I was not able to be at the event, unfortunately, for my other schedule, but
And I apologize for rubbing your nose in it. But we're savoring the experience. Yeah.
well, I know you well enough, and we've been together for a lot of years, that this is not unusual. And that's the joy, because we all have, for what I'm learning now, as well as I know you and I have been in that world where I get amazed that we get to do what we do and what we've done. And in my situation, I was blessed to get invited and get introduced and nurtured along the way to have those opportunities. And yet every time that I had an opportunity working with celebrities and rock stars and musicians and athletes, they were all genuinely nice. And they were all loving and wanting to serve, because we were interviewing them, we were doing television with them and so forth, and they wanted to give. And so it's interesting to see that some of the people that you long to look up to and you hope that they're going to live up to your expectation actually do. Now, I know some that don't and haven't, but it's great to hear from everyone how impactful this meeting was. And I'm not surprised. I'm just jealous. So I'll be there next time, I promise.
Outstanding. Oh, man. Lynn, any questions that came up since you were at the summit? Anything you would like us to address or talk about that would be helpful to you?
Thank you, Jean. I want to ask, when is the right time to resign? I want to resign and start my own business, but I don't know what's my worry to resign. And I think to start own business, I did it before with my co-founder, but she was managing accounts, and which I'm not really sure about if I can manage everything like a marketing, sales, accounting, everything. So I don't know what's my fear. So I can ask everyone, when you start your own business, quit your regular job. What did you do? And
I'll give
how
you
it's look
answer,
like the process.
and then I'll turn it over to the group. So Lynn has been for some time in the business of furniture sales at the enterprise level. So if Apple Computers is coming to Singapore and they've just rented 3 floors in a office building, they need furniture. She's the one they would go to. And so she would sell all those furnishings and you know, that pretty big contracts. So she's been in business with she was in another business with a horrible manager, luckily got out of that. But that horrible manager ended up reporting to her and always resented it. And it took forever to get out of that relationship. And she got into business with a woman and her husband where Lynn was generating the sales and they were supposed to be partners, but she ended up in the position of being more treated like an employee and not able to run it like a business owner. Is that fair to say, Lynn? Is that accurate? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, actually forced me to sell my 50% share to my
Yeah.
co-founder husband. Mhm.
Yeah. So Lynn's in a position now where she's pretty clear that the best thing for her to do is resign this company, make sure she gets paid whatever she's due, but to resign this company and to find a soft landing so that she's got a place to go, a thing to do that will meet her income needs as she grows to the next stage of her own career. Now she's been Miss Singapore in a beauty contest that held its international final competition in Los Angeles area. Wow.
Mhm.
She's a member of the Asia Professional Speakers Association and has done many presentations. She puts on conferences where she brings in one of her gurus and they do conferences primarily for women. Also, Lynn is a dancer and she's done a great deal of dance, Bharata dance study in recent years, and she wants to flesh that out and become a teacher of dance as well. So it looks like Lynn Guo Enterprises could be, many things. And she's just looking for, in this transition time, whatever guidance we can give her that might help make that easier and safer for her. So over to you guys. Eric?
Yeah, so I just want to take you through something real quick for 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Go ahead and close your eyes for a second, Lynn. No smiling here. No smiling. Seriously, close your eyes.
Okay.
Close your eyes.
Okay.
All of you can do this if you like, but go ahead and close your eyes, Lynn. Start imagining yourself. What are you focusing? Where are you? What's resonating with you more? What type of, what's your day look like? What are you doing? Are you speaking on stages right now? In your mind right now, just keep your eyes closed for a second. Are you writing books? Are you teaching other people how to build what you've built through the furniture, business, and teaching that? Or, and go ahead and you can open up your eyes whenever you want. What does it feel like? Where are you? This is a training that I do. I learned it from Brian Tracy probably 25 years ago. You can open up your eyes whenever you want, by the way. But what's it feel like? And it should resonate with you. And if something's in your mind right now, but you're feeling a little tugging, then that wasn't it. Then you want to do this exercise again. Close your eyes again later on today. Do it 3, 4, 5 times today. And really, it's called flushing it out, right? You flush out the bad stuff and get the good stuff. And then you're like, this is what I really want to do. So that's the one technique I want to share with you. The second one real quick is, for me, I don't know exactly what you're focusing in on, but for me, if I heard retire, if you're going to retire something, what I always do is I have to replace myself with 3 entities to replace my one me. So I need to make sure that if I'm going to replace me or retire me, and still own that portion of the company or own that company. I want to replace it with 3 other individuals that are going to do it. Because you mentioned accounting, you mentioned different things that you need to hire to be able to do that. I don't know if I caught that early on or not. I may have gotten that wrong. It sounds like you're maybe retiring and going away from that business completely. So that second technique might not apply to you. But those are my 2 quick
Thank you, Eric.
thoughts.
Yeah, and the key is to retire to the next activity instead of from the previous, because when you let go of the previous, that's over. Now what, right? You're still here. It's like walking out in the parking lot after a show. Now what? Well, there's another show, or, big question mark. Always have something you're going toward. And that'd be a good exercise, Lynn, for a relaxed time when you can just sit there and visualize yourself in the next situation that you ideally would like and see how it happens. And then just make notes about that and then come back and say, okay, how can I make that real? All right. Dennis, did you have your hand up a moment ago?
Yes, I did. And it had to do with something you were talking about earlier with the CPE. And as this grows, and now there's 100, 200 individuals, many of whom we will most likely not meet, but have tremendous talent. And even in the group that, it was a really humble group. And when you got down to some of the expertise that people had, it was enormous. But, I would venture to say that there's still talent and things that people that we were there with for several days that we don't know about. And so what I was thinking about with the CPE, what you were describing is also considering it an enormous resource of people that you can trust. And then not only have them listed either numerically, how, 1, 2, 3, however you wanted to do it, or what your original plan was, but categorically based on the strengths and talents that they bring to bear. And now, if you're in need of someone that sells lots of furniture and will get an entire floor, then you know that you go to Lynn. In other words, it's the reverse in a sense. What is it that you need? Well, by golly, Robin does that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's detailed, and you can really tap into the resources rather than going through until you find someone that you think is right. It could even be on your website where there's some pull downs.
Yeah.
Click, click, and 5 names pop up.
Very good. Thank you. By the way, would you turn your chair sideways so we can see behind you?
Oh.
Yeah. See that medallion? That's the CPE and his certificate right below it on the table. That makes me feel very proud to have helped create that moment. Dennis, you gave me another good idea, and that is Wisdom Parlor podcast, first Wednesday of every month. What I can do in the future is feature new CPEs. So if a person's certified professional expert, there's my guest list. There's my primary attendee list, who I have as like a studio faculty, and have them on hand like in a gallery where I can turn and say, Lisa Marie, you've got experience with St. Jude and you've got experience in this and this. I'd love to get your take on that, so that turns what has been my kind of a thought forum into a much more robust forum going forward. So thank you for that, Dennis. Good thought. Good thought. Jay, any new comments or observations or questions? Wait a sec. I assume you're looking for your mute button. There you go. You got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a chance to attend your summit, but I wish I had been knocked out of my competition earlier so I could have gone to your summit.
Yeah, no, isn't that something? He wished he had been knocked out of his Toastmasters regional competition earlier, so he could have been with us. Thank you for that. That's a
You're welcome.
high compliment.
But just going in terms of having a group of people who are certified, I'm part of a group called MDS, which stands for $1 Million Sellers.
Yeah,
And those are a group of 600 or 700 Amazon sellers who have been audited to do over $1 million a year in revenue. That's like the basic. Most of us have done between 5, 10, 20, $50 million a year in sales on Amazon.
yeah,
And it's a big skill set because there's people who are in Whole Foods selling retail. There are people in major chains, investors, real estate people. And what we do is we have a Facebook group, and all of us, every time a new person comes aboard, they do a required introduction, and we all greet them and say, hey, great that you're part of the group. But once a year, they have a summit, and they go to different places. Like last year, it was Spain, and they charge for it. And we fly out to wherever it is. Like this year, it'll be in Colorado. So
Mhm.
maybe something similar where all the people who graduate or who are part of this are a part of a Facebook group, and then every year we meet somewhere and we get seminars and we have social activities, things like that, and that builds the group. It makes us feel closer together, and we learn new things, and we share what we have with each other through the
Perfect.
Facebook group, but also through the connections that we make at these yearly summits.
Mhm. Dynamite. Thank you for that. Lisa Marie? Thoughts, comments, question?
Yes, a couple of thoughts. It's been 7 years now that I've been certified with the Ziegler organization. And I remember when I went in, and I'm sorry that Kevin, had to leave because Kevin's part of the Ziegler community as well. When I went in, I remember 7 years ago, I went in with my plan of how I saw this gold folding out, and I had 15 years down. And I remember Tom Ziegler saying, 15 years? And I said, yeah, that's my plan, 15 years. And so every year in the summertime, and it's 7 years, I'll say to Tom, hey, it's been 7 years. So I didn't even know or see what was going to, happen over those years. And some have been surprises, pleasantly surprised, especially being his co-host on Mondays for his Monday morning mentoring sessions. And the other comment was for Dennis. Dennis, Tom Ziegler always taught me that you've got to schedule, like writing your book or whatever it is. My most valuable time is in the morning from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. when nobody's calling, when I'm not checking anything. So I schedule my highest priority and most important tasks from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. when I'm fresh. And Dennis, you know me, Tom even had me schedule in some worry time. So I'll drop in 30 minutes in the afternoon to sit and worry about what might be slipping, because sometimes I'm all here with one business and I'm over here with the other business. So everything down to even scheduling 30 minutes for worrying. So that's just my tidbit to add to our earlier conversation, Dennis.
Now, I hadn't thought about 30 minutes for worrying, but I'm on track with you with the early part of the morning. I'm usually up around 3:30 or so. And I begin work after watching an episode of Perry Mason. That's the warming up period, breakfast time, and then I go to work.
Outstanding.
We all have our idiosyncrasies and our schedules
Yes, we
and
do.
plans, and may God bless you.
I think I'll get out my old DVDs of Davy Crockett from Walt Disney back in the 1950s and watch them. Man, this is awesome. I want you to notice, look around the room here for a second. I'll get to you in a moment, Robin. We've got Lynn Guo in Croatia. We've got John Kovac from Fort Collins, Colorado, correct? Right? Eric, where are you today?
Let me look around. I think I'm in Temecula. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you said that earlier. And Jay, you're in Florida, right? And you're near Tampa area?
I'm in Clearwater, Florida, which is right
Clearwater.
near the best beach in the world.
Yep. That's what's the name? El Conquistador or El Capitan, or what's the name of it? That big pink hotel?
Oh, I don't know.
Flamingo.
Big famous hotel. It may not be Clearwater that I'm thinking about.
Conquistador, I think it's
El Conquistador.
Clearwater,
That's it.
Tampa,
Yeah.
St.
I do know that what's his name from The Doors? lived here. And
In
they're,
Morrison?
Jim Morrison.
yeah, Jim Morrison, yeah.
Yeah, somebody lit his fire. Dennis is in Las Vegas, Henderson, Nevada. Robin's in Spring Branch, Texas. Lisa Marie is in Memphis, and I'm in Austin, Texas. That's pretty doggone impressive. We span the world. Robin, you had a comment.
I just wanted to make a comment to Lynn. Lynn, I've been in your position, I think, a lot over my years, being not the guy, but the second guy or the third guy, then moving my way up to be the guy. And when I end up going out on my own, and I've actually had a chance to coach a lot of people this, to get clarity on what it is that you do, to really understand what it is you do, and then to know exactly who your audience is that they will want to buy from you. You have to ask yourself, why would they want to buy from me? What makes you so special that they would buy from you? So it's like the 5 W's. Who are you? What do you do? Who do you do it for? Why would anyone care? And what's your wow? What makes you so special? If you can answer those 5 things, it kind of brings this wide opportunity that you have and narrow it down into something that's real tangible that you can clearly, articulate to someone else, so they know that they need, if they need something and they know that you do that, why they would want to get it from you. And then once you get clarity of that, that's when the hard work comes in, because you now need to be able to, how do I reach those people? What's the funding to be able to do that? How can I deliver this product? Is it manufacturing of some sort, or is it content based? And it's a joyful experience. It's a wonderful time of imagination and possibilities. But boy, you've got to be really clear on the tangibles, because you can get so wrapped up in the what if that the how to and what to do sometimes get left by the wayside. So I encourage you, because I'm excited about that opportunity for you, because I know sometimes how freeing that can be, but it is something you really need to get a tangible handle on.
Excellent.
Just
Well
my 2
said.
cents.
And what he said,
Thank
Lynn,
you.
might not have translated quite as easily as some of his other comments, is what's your wow? What is the thing you do that causes people to go, wow? Because the more you isolate that, the more powerful you are. In the Going Pro process, I've said this over and over again. It's what do you want? In other words, clarity, it has to be priority number 1. What do you want? What matters to you? What do you have that you can share with others? Get clear on that. How do I help other people? How am I capable of making this world a better place, one person at a time, one company at a time? So clarity is number 1. And from that comes confidence. And then once you have the confidence to reach out and start connecting and making things happen, you got to handle all of those processes and get them sort of within your control, so that from that comes the third part, courage. The courage, that all you got? Bring it. You can take anything, but it all starts with courage, clarity. And you, Lynn, have everything you need already, and you already know the people you need to know. It's just a matter of solidifying that courage in you and being real clear on what you want and what you don't want. And do not get into a non-compete agreement or non-disclosure agreement with your previous employer, because you earned your ability to go forward with no restrictions. That's just my encouragement.
Thank
Okay.
you so much, everyone.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Eric, you had your hand up for a second. We've got to wrap, but take us home. Last comment?
Oh, I was just I was commenting on when you said clarity, because that's what I believe Lynn needs right now, is just clarity on what she is truly looking for. Because if you're clear on it, then the courage is there. And like you said earlier, Lynn, you said, I'm not sure why I'm fearful of it. Well, make a list, do a Benjamin Franklin list, the yeses and the nos, fill up those yeses. We'll fill up the yeses for you if you want. We can put it in the chat, more freedom, more this, more that, and then the nos are just 2 things, right? Everyone knows this. I'm speaking Robin's language here. It's time and money. Those are the only 2 things that or a subset of it, right?
Yeah.
So those are my things. It's just clarity.
Hey,
Thank
can
you,
I say
Jay.
one thing? I know we're wrapping up, but I feel compelled to say something to you, Lynn.
Yeah.
There have been times in my life when I had no idea what I wanted to do. And people would say, you just have to be clear on what it is you need. And I go, but I'm not clear. I don't even know what I want to do. And I remember reading in, I think it was Think and Grow Rich, that he said, you may not know what you want, but you have to kind of have faith that the opportunity will present itself. It will come. Like if you say, I want this, whatever the opportunity that's meant for me, come my way. And you just put that out there. And I feel like sometimes life and opportunities are like water. If you just stand there, like if you're not flowing, you're stagnant. Like the energy is stagnant. But if you are moving, you're flowing. And when life is flowing, when things are flowing, other things come to you. So I think the thing, if you don't know what you want to do something. It doesn't even matter if it's the right thing. It could be the wrong thing.
That's
But
right.
you start to flow and you're flowing. And while you're doing the wrong thing, the right thing will come along. But if you just sit and wait for the right thing, it never comes. You have to be doing something. Every great thing that's ever happened for me has happened while I was doing the wrong thing. And then the right thing came while I was doing something. So
Yeah,
I don't know if that helps or not, but
Years ago, some of you know this, years ago, I was in a partnership called the Carefree Institute. I was a junior partner. I had 20% interest. It was owned by a guy named Robert Horton, who it was a closely held corporation. And he said, I'm giving you 20%, but I need you to pay me a few $100,000 to be in this. So I mortgaged my home and I invested with him. And he spent the money, part of which was paying off the IRS who was at his door, the tax people, Lynn. And we worked together and everything's going great. And I was like Lynn, I was producing 100% of our sales. I was the moneymaker. I was the rainmaker. And so Robert was the technical expert guy, and I was the one making things happen. And man, I made things happen. And I mean, all over the world, we had people going through our process. And then I went to him and I said, hey, I'm not building any equity. I can't keep pouring everything I've got into this without building equity. He said, well, not my problem. I said, excuse me? He said, Jim, I didn't make a bad deal. You made a bad deal, and that's not my problem. And I said, well, it is now because we're done. I will not stay in a partnership where I'm not treated as a partner. You know, I didn't sign on to be your employee and pay for the privilege. And so he said, well, deal's not changing. So we went to a lawyer's office and had long, ugly conversations. And finally, I was talking to my lawyer privately. He said, Jim, we can take this to court and sue the guy and you will win. But he won't pay you because he's already spent all the money. And you're going to have to go through years of grief to get to the point where you've got the final judgment and you know, you're going after him to get him to pay. Or you can just walk away and let it go. He said, by the way, you're going to have to pay me, the lawyer, for all this before you get any money from him. And so I walked away from it and it broke my heart. Oh, such a sense of injustice. You know, all this money and everything, and I'm paying it off. It's kind of like I paid for his college tuition and then he went to work for someone else, right? It's almost like that. That's the way it felt. But I still have the bills. And it took me almost 2 years to emotionally recover 100% from that blow. But when I did, I came back roaring with a new book, The Acorn Principle, a whole new, you know, life in my business, and it really made a difference. But so I don't just slightly understand what your position is. I really emotionally understand what your position is. I've been there, and my empathy is yours. Okay, we got to wrap, folks. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so
Bless
much.
all of you. Take
Bye,
care.
y'all.
Bye, guys.
See you later.
Thank you, everyone.
I'll post
Thank
this on
you.
our Facebook group page. See ya.
See you.